I messed up. We've got some repairs to do. Bit of an unexpected video for you guys today, but I'm trying to be as transparent as possible, show off some of my learning, some of my mistakes, and hopefully beneficial to you guys. But this video is all about repairs, more repairs, and learning how to carbon fibre laminate. Something I never thought I'd be doing in my 3D prints. Now, I don't need the strength of carbon fibre, it's more for decoration. So I won't be doing multiple layers of lamination. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Just like with any of my projects that I work on, you often face challenges or difficulties. And I have faced a massive difficulty. I've spent just about the whole day trying to make this last wing at the back not just glue together, but fit within the barge boards. And not only fit within the barge boards, actually allow this to flap down. So at the minute where you see these sellotape here, this is the parts where they're actually wing. This will drop down because I wanted to replicate what we see on TV, the really cool moving of the wings up and down. I really think it's quite a cool thing to see as they simultaneously rear and front wing flap down. And all I will say is I was becoming to points where I wanted to quit. I was thinking this is just too hard. And then I realised, should I have the active bit or should I just go for a solid wing? It's only a piece of art. Why would I have the active? And I thought to myself, the whole reason why I'm doing this is because I wanted to see the flaps moving. I just thought it was a really cool thing. So what happened? So firstly, this rear ring was too long. I don't know why. I don't know how. It's like I got the scale too big. But then I realised the scale wasn't too big because here it was fitting inside the boolean cuts that we made. It was fitting perfectly. But I had to trim down some parts. So I've cut with a saw these parts where you can see my print has actually failed, and just to make it all fit. It is not perfectly symmetrical. It is not perfect. So there are bigger gaps in places where there shouldn't be bigger gaps. There are more curves in places where there isn't more curves. So it's not 100%. But all I will say is it looks cool and I can fix it. Okay, so here we go. Enough talking. Let's repair this piece. Right now, I am making a relief cut. So I'm working on the middle wing. The lower wing's great. It's the middle wing and the wing at the back that is slightly too long. And this relief cut is really important because it doesn't need to be clean, but what it does do is it allows me to basically move the wing. Now what you can see in my hand is a replacement part. I 3D printed a new part and I'm actually connecting the last two wings together because they're the bits that are going to be moving with the active aero. And I've made this repair piece that connects the two wings together at the back. And this is my solution to my repair. As I mentioned, these two parts are too long and I need to shorten them in some way. I've put masking tape on the 3D print to clearly draw my straight lines, okay? And what I'm going to do is I know I used the hacksaw to make the relief cut, but what I'm going to do next is actually take off the wings once I've made my marks, and actually I've cut those wings using a scroll saw. Okay, now I have cut the wings with my scroll saw, nice and clean, as straight as possible. It's not perfectly straight, I will need to use some filler, but I've now made the relief cuts. I've moved material basically from these wings to make them shorter, and as you can see I've got my hot staple gun, and I find this is such a great tool for making the wings. To be honest, I made the lower wing using this and then applied super glue on top. As the super glue I find it slowly goes into the smallest cracks of the join, and it just seems to work really well. It makes a really strong
bond, and it just gives structure. What I'm doing right now with these staples is giving real structure to the different parts, and that really helps at this stage, because at this stage the plastic is weak, the joins are weak. What's going to make this super strong is the carbon fibre laminating. Now, luckily for you guys, you get to watch this sped up. All I will say, this added a few more days onto the build. It's added an extra whole video for you guys to watch. But hey, such is the way. It wasn't the plan to be cutting chunks out of the 3D print to make this work, but we're making it work. This was never going to be easy. This was going to be a challenge. And I'm hoping that my repair or even motivation to not giving up when things aren't really working out. This took weeks to print this last two parts of the front wing, and I didn't want to throw them away. I wanted to still use them, and I'm making it work somehow, some way. The heat staple gun is something you definitely want to have if you are into 3D printing. It just makes your parts come together without any glue, without any mess. As you can see, I do wear a mask when I'm using mine, just because it does release some sort of small fumes, not that much, but yeah, definitely a tool I'd recommend you having. And just like that, I've now got the middle wing sorted. I'm doing exactly the same thing for the wing at the back, which is slightly more complicated because there is an angle where, I don't know if you can see it on screen, I'm using a bit of masking tape to bring the wing up as a bit of extra support. Remember, there are gaps in this because it's active. The flaps will go up and down, so where you can see me adding the sellotape, there's actual gap, there's no glue. The tape's holding it all together. But I'm trying to bend the plastic now as close as possible and making a reference line ready for me to cut with my scroll saw. And it's just a case of taking the wing off and bringing it back and just messing around. I had to do this a few times, by the way. After some fiddling though, I did manage to get there. I managed to make some relief cuts. But yeah, I'm making it work. Now, I don't know if I've mentioned, but I actually screw on these wings. So I just got some basic screws and I just screw them in to the 3D print. It's thick enough for some nice screws to go in. And there you go. This is the last bit that I need to staple together in this repair. Don't be fooled by this video. This did take a few days for me to not only problem solve, but to get the repair sorted out. But we managed to figure it out and it's doing well. It's going to be a strong fix and it's going to look really cool. Now, I've learnt my lesson in the past and normally I rush things So what I am going to do now is, once this is all together, I'm going to just let this set. I'm super gluing all of the joins. I notice this makes this super strong. I'm even putting glue in the plastic rails itself. So to prevent me from messing up all of my hard work, I'm now going to let that wing set with the super glue, and I'm going to now work on cutting up the carbon fibre for the laminating process. This is new to me. I've never actually worked with carbon fibre. It's the most expensive material I've ever bought to put on my 3D prints. But what I'm doing right now is using masking tape. I'm just making a rough outline so that I can then draw or mark out my cuts. Now, I am learning as I go along, and one of the things that I decided to do is, rather than just roughly cut a template from the main piece, I'm going to be using paper templates. So this is actually the end plate that you see on the screen, that I have created a template from the original parts. And just like that, I'm going to now use some really sharp scissors, my most heavy duty scissors, to cut around my template. Obviously I use masking tape, put my paper template on top, and it's given me a nice reference point for me to cut around. Next up is to mix up some epoxy and to start laminating. So I have mixed up 150ml for this practice bit. This is my first time messing around with epoxy and laminating 3D prints. This is PLA plastic that I'm using. Now I'm just going to brush this on as evenly as possible. I have done a bit of research. The epoxy also came with instructions. So I followed all of the instructions, made a plan, which is why I'm recording this a little bit later in the evening. It's just because I was making sure I had everything in place. So now I let the epoxy set for about 10-15 minutes, so it was a bit tacky. I think this is where it could possibly go wrong. I may have not let it set for long enough, but this is a practice for me and I'm learning. But I'm just now using some heavy duty gloves, protecting my hands because I don't want to get them all sticky, and just laminating on top of the epoxy. Now, I am going to be using some vacuum bags to help me hold this all together. So I've put some peel ply on top of the part. Hopefully the peel ply prevents it from sticking to the bag and I can peel it off the parts. But this is in aid of adhesion. I'm trying to get the lamination to be uniform in all areas as best as possible, but also for the glue or the epoxy to bind to the part as well as to the carbon fibre. This is my first time doing this. It's all part of learning. I know there's going to be mistakes in this. It's not going to be perfect. Hopefully you guys as well can take something away for what it is that I'm doing, and maybe you can do a lot better job than what I'm doing. And hopefully once I've done this first round, I will get better and better at it. And what a day I have had in repairing my front wing, and now I'm just literally getting ready to go to bed. I'm just smoothing in and out everything, make sure everything is contacting to the part, sucked out as much air as possible out of the bag, and fingers crossed it turns out okay. It's the following morning, and the first thing I've done, got out of bed, come to have a look at the part, how the lamination's going. I think it's okay. The vacuum bag seems to have done its job. Maybe, we don't know. But I can't open up the part because it was a little bit cold last night, and it does say 24-hour curing process. Interestingly, the epoxy that I got was specifically for laminating carbon fibre, so I'm just going to follow the instructions to let it set. Hopefully in the next video you guys can see what the end product will look like. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, please like. I'm trying to show off this process with you guys. I'm learning. Hopefully it will help you also learn if you would like to do something a little bit similar.